Hi, welcome to Yoga at the Library. We are going to do a whole bunch of full body stretches today. So we're going to open up all the different parts of our body, but especially from the fingertips all the way down to the toes. So we'll begin on our backs. We're going to start down there and slowly make our way on up. You don't need any props unless you like to have a towel or a blanket. And I'll meet you down on the floor. Just noticing how your body feels down here on your mat. Feeling how gravity affects your spine right away. Lengthening between the vertebrae. Flattening the whole front of your body, weighing your face down sideways, the edges of your face pressing towards the floor rather than the top. The arms able to relax and be supported rather than hang at your sides. Your circulation feels a difference. Making any little adjustments that you need to find yourself in a comfortable position down here. Keeping the knees bent or straight, whatever feels best to your back. And adjusting against the floor, figuring out what your body needs to feel supported and flat. Letting ourselves be flat, maybe for the first time since we got out of bed this morning. Giving our bodies a little break from that compression downwards. Letting us be sideways for a little bit. Checking in with the breath. Taking full, slow rounds of breath. Filling the lungs all the way and exhaling completely. Inhaling to fill the lungs all the way to their greatest capacity. And exhaling, getting rid of all that stale air. Isn't it amazing how fast your body can use it? Feeling the ribs and the belly rise and fall with your breaths. Noticing the sensations of your back against the floor and how they evolve with your breath. And the longer you lay on the floor. If you haven't been breathing deeply today, you might find yourself yawning when you start to breathe deeply. Sometimes we trick ourselves like that. If your knees are bent, go ahead and take them long. Stretch the arms up overhead. Big good morning stretch to go with your yawn if you yawned. Stretching from the fingertips all the way down to the toes. Oh my goodness, I have to stop yawning. So we're going to take the left ankle over the right ankle and hold on to the left wrist. We're curving the hands and the feet over to the right to stretch through the left side of the body. So maybe even walking those feet off your mat to the right side of your mat. Maybe walking those hands off to the right side of your mat. And then relaxing where you find a nice lengthening through the left side. So we're not tugging on that left wrist. We're not stretching with the legs. We're letting the body relax here in this banana pose. This is a yin yoga pose where you can stay for 10 or 15 minutes if you want. We don't have time for that. That's for another class. We're going to switch sides. So coming back to center, crossing the right ankle over the left, hanging on to the right wrist, and then sending the feet and the hands over to the left side of the mat, maybe even beyond the left side of the mat. A big passive stretch through the right side of the body. Feeling the top of the hip bone, feeling the ribs, the underarm, the IT band all the way up the outside of the leg. Maybe even a weird stretch like one in your wrist or your ankle or even your foot here. Just noticing what you feel. And we'll come back into center with the feet and with the hands and with the head. Let's go ahead and bring the right knee in close, holding on to that right knee and making circles. Switching directions, feeling out the whole range of motion in the right hip. And we'll come over to the left side, extending the right leg all the way long back to the mat. The left knee comes in, holding onto that left knee and making some circles. We're going to do a lot of twists today. It is really cold outside, and twists help to warm up the body and loosen up the joints, especially the spine. Switching directions with your left knee. And coming back into center. And we'll take the left leg long. Noticing how the hips especially feel. Let's go ahead and take the bottoms of the feet to the floor. We opened up the sides of the hips and the backs of the hips. Now we're going to open up the fronts of the hips. Let's go ahead and take our hands palm down to the floor on either side of your body. Planting the feet about hip width apart, and we want our feet to feel like they're parallel. On our inhale, pressing into the feet to lift the hips up towards the ceiling, opening up those hip flexors, the top of the quadricep muscles. They get so tight when we sit, no matter where we sit. Exhaling, coming all the way down. We'll inhale, coming on up, and we'll take a couple breaths here again. Trying to make a straight line from your shoulders to your hips to your knees. Exhaling, coming all the way down. And then one more. We'll take 2 full breaths up here in this bridge pose. And then lower all the way down. Okay, let's take the arms out into a T and swing the knees down to one side. Inhaling, coming up to center, and exhaling them down to the other side. If you're lucky, you'll get the sensation as you roll the bones of your booty against your mat. You'll get the sensation of rolling out those big glute muscles. Twisting through the low back, warming up the body, warming up the spine. Doing a movement you probably haven't done yet today for the first time today. This is one you can do in your bed. You do not have to be on your yoga mat to twist your knees from side to side. And it's really, really nice. Warming, detoxifying. Energizing. And we'll bring the knees back up to center. And let's go ahead and hug them both in nice and close. Maybe even lifting up your chin towards your knees. Curling up, getting really, really small. And we can rock and roll forward and back. Taking your time till you come into a seated position. Sitting up nice and tall. Rooting evenly through your sit bones. And lengthening through your spine. Letting the shoulders drop away from the ears and letting the neck be nice and long. Hands can rest wherever it's comfortable. If your knees feel wonky here, you might want to flex your feet so your ankles are strong and activated. And that activates the whole lower leg and can protect the knee if that cross-legged position feels not so good to you. You can also always sit up on a blanket or a block or a pillow to take some of the angles out of the hips and the knees. So we're here in our Sukhasana, our easy seat. We'll take the arms out wide and all the way up. Exhaling down to one side, reaching up and over. Inhaling up to center. And exhaling down to the other side. Moving with the breath. Inhaling up. And exhaling all the way down. Maybe bending your lower elbow. Maybe bringing one sit bone and then the other off the floor when you're way over in your side stretch. Letting your pelvis move with your spine. And when you feel even, meeting back up at center. And we'll bring the hands down into heart, taking our arm circles. Taking a big deep breath in. Exhaling, pressing the palms forward, rounding between the shoulder blades. Inhaling, palms up. Exhaling, hands reach back behind and interlace. Inhaling to lift the chin, lift the hands. And exhale, hands come into the heart. Inhaling, deep breath. Exhaling, palms press forward. Inhaling, palms come up. And exhaling, reaching back. Inhaling, lifting the hands, lifting the chin, opening the heart. And exhaling, hands coming to the center. We've got one more. Deep breath in. Exhaling, opening the shoulder blades. Inhaling up. Exhaling, reaching back. And inhaling to open up the heart. Exhaling, hands come into the center. Alrighty, we're going to switch our ankles. So the opposite ankle comes in nice and close. Resituating yourself through the sit bones, maybe activating those feet and ankles to protect the knees if that feels right to you. We'll hold on to both knees, making big circles with the chest. Feeling out the whole range of motion in that low back. Kind of massaging through the hip flexors. And again, getting that rolling movement through the big glute muscles. We store so much tension in our hips and in our booties. And we don't even realize we've got it because we're so used to it. So this kind of works out some of that tension and loosens up the spine. Continuing to breathe, rolling the heart around. And we'll make our way back into center. And sit up nice and tall again. Let's take the arms out wide in a T. We'll pat ourselves on the back with the right hand and just pull that elbow behind the head. But we're not crouching down to pull the elbow like too far. The goal is really just to hold the elbow in place. We want our chin to be level with the floor. So pulling that elbow behind the head was probably not the right thing for me to say. We're holding that elbow in place, feeling a stretch through the tricep. Keeping the chin level with the floor and sitting up nice and tall. Big deep breath in here. And on your exhale, maybe come a little bit deeper, maybe taking the fingertips 1 centimeter lower down the spine. And we'll release. Noticing the difference in sensation between the right arm and the left arm. Both arms were working. Alrighty, we'll pat ourselves on the back with the left hand. Hold on to that elbow with the right hand. Chin is level with the floor. Nice and tall through the spine, through the neck. Big deep breath in here. And on your exhale, maybe inching those fingers down the spine just a tiny bit. And we'll release the arms. Alrighty, making our way to tabletop, to hands and knees. We want to have the hands directly beneath the shoulders, the knees directly below the hips, the spine nice and neutral, the neck included so the gaze is down in between the fingertips, hugging the belly in nice and close so we're not letting the belly hang down towards the floor. Let's go ahead and tuck our toes. Go ahead and tuck your toes. We'll move with the breath for some cat and cow. So we're inhaling, lifting the tailbone, dropping the belly, lifting the chin. Exhaling, rounding up through the back, tucking the chin in towards the chest. Moving with the breath and taking any sideways, forward and back, up and down movements that feel natural with your flow. Maybe breathing more quickly to have a really active cat and cow. Maybe breathing more slowly to have a more meditative, exploratory cat and cow. And we'll make our way back to that neutral spine. I forgot to say, we're on our hands and knees. If you want to fold your mat over and get some double cushion underneath those knees, that's always a nice option. I realized when I got into the position that I want some double cushion. Alrighty, so this is, let's see, a your choice moment. We can, from our neutral tabletop position, take the right foot straight behind the body, tucking the toes, pressing through that heel, and getting a nice hamstring and calf and Achilles tendon stretch. Or we can try this other little thing. If this feels great to you, stay right here. We're pressing into the heel, stretching through that back of the leg. You can also, I'm turning to the side so you can see what I'm doing. You can also take your right foot way out to the side and plant the arch of the foot on the floor and get a really nice inner thigh stretch without having to balance very much. It's a really nice kind of passive inner thigh stretch. So we've got the leg out. The right leg is out, whether it's behind or to the right of our bodies. Taking some breaths into wherever you feel this stretch. And this leg out to the side modification is just an option. That means it's optional. You don't have to do it if it's not for you. And we'll make our way back to our tabletop from wherever you are. Alrighty, we're going to do the same options on the other side, just options. So that left leg can go long, pressing through the heel to stretch the hamstring, getting a nice back of the leg opener, a foot opener, Achilles tendon and heel opener. Strengthening through the front of the leg with all that traction you're building against the floor. You can stay right there, bouncing into that heel a little bit, or take your left foot out to the left with the arch against the floor and stretch through the inner leg. Try both, try one or the other. Find what feels good to you. Let's take a big breath in, and on the exhale, come on back to your tabletop. Alrighty, this next one is another your choice moment. So from our tabletop, we can take the elbows down and just let the heart kind of hang down towards the floor. So this opens up the heart, it compresses the shoulder blades in a nice way that is the opposite of our hunched over usual kind of position. Lifting that chin away from the floor stretches the throat, gives the neck a little bit of a variety. So we can stay right here. This is called cat pose, puppy pose. It's got a name. It might be one of those. Or we can walk the hands farther forward and take the heart down towards the floor.
And I didn't say to the floor. Towards the floor is just fine. If you go all the way to the floor, that's great. If your chin finds the floor, that's great. Or you can hang out in space like I am. Still on my elbows, but with my arms straight, getting a huge stretch through the shoulders, the underarms, the back of the heart, the rib cage. Big deep breath in wherever you are, whether you're on your bent arms or on your straight arms. And on your exhale, we'll come back up carefully. Okay, let's go ahead and come all the way up onto those knees. And this is one that I did in a yoga class and was like, oh, my library students are going to love this one. So I hope I'm right. Sometimes I misjudge. So let's take let's see, what's going to be better for the first one. Let's take the right foot forward. And if your left knee feels weird here, you can always tuck those toes, activating the lower leg. Stretching through that left hip flexor, the top of the quadricep muscle. If you feel like your balance is off, you can take the right foot farther over to the right. All the way over to the right side of the mat is just fine, because this right leg is not supporting your weight, so it doesn't really need to be aligned in any special way. It just needs to help you balance. We're going to take the left hand down to the floor. So the right foot's on the right side of the mat, the left hand is on the left side of the mat, and pressing the hips forward, coming into a nice lunge here. And we'll twist the right arm up towards the ceiling. On our exhale, we'll lower the right hand down to the mat. On the inhale, opening it up towards the ceiling. And on the exhale, lowering it down to the mat. We'll do one more. Inhaling, opening. And exhaling to close it down. See? It wasn't so bad. Now with both hands down on the floor, you can kind of play with the hips. So you might go side to side. You might walk the hands forward and see how far forward you can go. Just make a big circle with your hips. Just see what feels good. You might be feeling super powerful today and lift up that back knee. See how that feels. Just kind of exploring your low lunge. Whatever your low lunge might involve today. We'll make our way back onto both knees. Standing up nice and tall. We'll do that same lunge on the other side. So we're taking the left foot forward and over to the left side of the mat. Finding your balance first. Making sure your base is nice and wide. And we'll take the right hand down to the right side of the mat. Opening up into a twisting lunge. Exhaling, bringing the left hand all the way down to the floor. So we're opening and closing the torso. Opening it up towards the wall. And exhaling it down towards the floor. One more time. Opening it up on the inhale. And exhaling down towards the floor. And then with both hands on the floor to the inside of that left foot, we're kind of just exploring this low lunge here. So maybe taking the hips in a circle, maybe walking the hands forward, pressing the hips low towards the floor, maybe lifting up that back knee, just finding your pose. You might want to bend the elbows and get really low. If that sounds good to you today. Moving around. Keeping it flowing. And we'll make our way back with both knees into a tabletop for just a sec. And then we'll take the knees nice and wide. big toes come together, and we'll come back into child's pose. The elbows can come out to the sides and your arms can have a little break. The forehead can come down towards the floor. Getting a stretch here through the knees, through the fronts of the ankles and the tops of the feet, and of course through the hips. Noticing how your deep breaths expand the rib cage and lengthen the spine. We'll make our way back up to our tabletop, so bringing the knees back underneath the hips. Let's go ahead and walk the hands a couple inches forward, tuck the toes, and we're slowly lengthening the legs. Straightening is the word I was trying to say. Straightening the legs to lift the hips up towards the floor and find our downward facing dog. So we're alternating, pressing one heel and then the other down towards the floor. Waking up the backs of the legs again after they were folded up in that child's pose. Let's take a big deep breath in here, lifting up onto the tippy toes. And we'll exhale, pressing the heels down towards the floor. Let's go ahead and bend both knees and walk the feet on up to the hands. So we're coming all the way forward to the top of the mat in a forward fold. Knees can stay bent. Hands do not need to stay to the floor. Noticing where you are. Letting the back relax. Letting the head hang. Noticing your feet. Where are you holding your weight? Is it in your heels or is it in the balls of your feet? And try to keep it evenly between the fronts and the backs of your feet. So we're not teetering forward. We're not leaning back. We're feeling nice and balanced. With the knees bent. Little healthy bend in the knees. And slowly we'll roll all the way up to stand. Standing up nice and tall. Noticing how being upright feels after all that low stuff, all that laying down. So we want to have our feet here about hip width apart, maybe a little bit wider. We want them to be parallel. And our knees are pointing straight in the direction that our feet are pointing. We're going to do several, I can't promise I'm going to be able to keep count, several sun breaths here. More than 3. We usually do 3, but we're trying to keep warm right now, so we're going to do several. Let's bring the hands into the heart. And always when we are doing sun breaths, the knees are pointing straight forward. Even if your knees bend and straighten, they're still pointing straight forward. So they're not bending in towards one another or out away from one another. They're bending straight forward, straight back to keep that alignment healthy. Alrighty, here we go. Big deep breath in, arms come out and up. Exhaling to fold forward and bow. Inhaling for a long, flat spine. Exhaling to fold all the way down. Inhaling, coming out and up. And exhaling, hands coming into the heart. Inhaling, arms out and up. Exhaling to fold and bow. Inhaling, long flat spine. Exhaling to fold down. This is where the knees bent is really, really nice. Inhaling, coming out and up. Exhaling, hands into the heart. Arms coming out and up. And exhale, fold. Inhaling for a long, flat spine. And exhaling back down. Inhaling, coming out and up. Noticing your body warming up. Maybe your breath warming up. Arms coming out and up. Exhale, fold down. Inhaling for a long, flat spine. And exhaling to fold. Inhaling, coming out and up. Hands coming into the heart. I think we'll do 2 more. Arms come out and up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, long, flat spine. Exhaling all the way down. Inhaling, coming out and up. Exhaling, hands coming into the heart. Inhaling, arms come out and up. And exhaling to fold and bow. Inhaling, long, flat spine. Exhaling all the way down. Inhaling, coming up. And we'll exhale the hands into the heart and stay right here. Being still. Feeling your circulation. Maybe feeling your pulse, feeling your breath. Whatever you've got going on. It's hard to think about other things while you're doing sun breaths. It's hard. I mean, it can be done, but it's hard. So enjoying that moment, whether you noticed it or not, where it was at least a little harder for you to think about multiple things at once. That's my goal in your yoga classes. Alrighty, we've got our hands in at heart. We're going to come from here into tree pose, opening up the inner legs. So let's come onto the right foot, making a little kickstand with the left heel against the ankle. We can stay right here. Left knee's over to the left, opening up that inner leg. Standing really, really strong through the right side, so we're not letting that hip pop out. We want to stay strong and upright. We can stay right here or take the left foot up the inner right leg. Continuing to breathe here. Finding a gazing point for your eyes to focus on that isn't going to move. Helps you balance, in theory. And once your balance feels good, if you get your balance feeling good, you can take the arms up and out, finding your arm variation for your tree pose today. Maybe your tree's a little sideways, maybe it's a little wobbly. Continuing to breathe, continuing to stay really strong through that right side. Big deep breath in. And exhaling to release. And we'll switch onto the left foot. Bringing the hands into the heart, making a little kickstand. Standing up really nice and tall and strong through the left side. We can stay right here, opening up through the right inner leg. Or we can bring the foot up the inner left leg. Continuing to breathe and finding your gazing point. Might be the same one as before, it might be a different one. And if you find some balance and you feel comfortable, taking the arm variation. Whatever that may look like for you. Taking a big deep breath in, and then exhaling to release your tree pose. Go ahead and come all the way to the bottom of your mat. Take the arms out and up. And exhale, folding down. Bending the knees and walking the hands forward till we come back into our tabletop, and then find our child's pose. Coming all the way down. So the spine here is rounded. We'll make our way forward onto our bellies and do a little back bend to counter stretch this stretch. Coming all the way forward onto the bellies. And let's keep the elbows down. No, we're going to be on our elbows. Let's take the elbows out to the side. So we've got kind of like a really wide cactus arm situation going on. And let's point the toes. Let's go ahead and lift the right foot up off the floor, keeping the knee straight, and then lower. Lifting the left foot off the floor, knee straight, and lower. Right foot, lower, and left foot, and lower. Then we'll take the palms underneath the fronts of the shoulders. And we'll inhale, just lifting the heart a little bit. The hands really are just there for kind of some support. So we're not pressing into the floor very, very much. We're more, we're using our back muscles more than we're using our arms. And the tops of the feet now are to the floor. Go ahead and lower all the way down, taking the arms back out to the sides. And here we'll lift both feet without bending the knees. Exhaling all the way down. Inhaling, lifting both feet. And exhaling all the way down. Then we'll come back into that baby cobra pose. Hands underneath the fronts of the shoulders. And lifting the heart. Exhaling on down. Alrighty, from here, this is where we're going to come onto our elbows again. Let's roll over to the left side. So we've got our beach pose, mermaid pose. Our left elbow's down to the floor. The bicep is straight up and down, so we're not torquing the shoulder in any way. The right hand can be for balance down to the floor in front of us, and the knees are bent. So we're going to lift this left hip up off the floor 3 times. Here we go. Inhaling to lift it up, and exhaling to lower it down. Inhaling to lift it up, and exhaling to lower it down. One more time, lifting that hip, and exhaling to lower on down. Let's go ahead and switch sides. I'm going to switch sides in this direction. So we're on the right side now, on the right elbow, the right hip. The knees are bent, but we're still making a straight line. So the knees are bent, but they're not forward. bicep is straight up and down. Left hand can be to the floor, or if you're feeling really, really strong, it can be to that left hip. Here we go, 3 side planks. Inhaling to lift the right hip up off the floor. Exhaling on down. Inhaling to lift it up. Exhaling down, and 1 more. Inhaling to lift it up. And exhaling all the way down. Alrighty, let's go ahead and come down to our backs. All the way down to your back with the knees bent and the bottoms of the feet to the floor. Go ahead and take your feet as wide as your mat and let your knees fall towards one another. So that might, in itself, might just be a really nice release for your spine. A homework assignment for you is to find a firm towel or a firm blanket or a firm pillow, and in this position, with the feet wide, the knees together, take that firm thing and put it underneath your hips and then relax. It's wonderful. We're not doing that though because we don't have any props right now, but that's your homework assignment. We're going to do some more flowing twists here to open up the fronts of the legs a little bit. Let's take the arms wide in a T. And just like we did before, but with the legs a little bit more open, we're going to swing the knees to one side. So when you find your knees all the way to one side, you'll kind of feel like you're like you have crashed, and here you are. But what we're looking for is the opening of that top right hip flexor. You can take the left ankle over the right knee for a little bit more gravity, a little bit more of a side stretch. Or not, just an option, just optional. And we'll uncross the leg if it's crossed, come back up to center. Keeping the feet wide as the mat, we'll come over to the other side. Hanging out here, feeling an opening through that left hip flexor. Maybe taking the right ankle over that knee for a little bit more gravity, a little bit more pull down towards the floor. We'll uncross that ankle if it's crossed. Bringing the knees back up to center. Adjusting your spine against the floor so that the low back, all of the vertebrae, even the ones in your low back, are down to the floor. And we'll lift up those knees. Hug those knees in nice and close and rock from side to side. Massaging out the spine against the floor. Let's go ahead and take the left leg long, holding behind the right thigh, extending the foot up towards the ceiling. The leg is not straight here, it's just extended up towards the ceiling. This is not to get a hamstring stretch. This is just to do a little bit of an inversion and get your circulation moving in those legs. So rolling that ankle, switching directions, maybe writing a little message in cursive with your toes. It's good for your brain. Noticing the sensations as your circulation changes in that leg.
working against gravity. And when you finish writing your message, go ahead and lower the right leg all the way down. Then we'll send the left foot up towards the ceiling. The knee is not straight, just sending it up here to get a little inversion action. Rolling out the left ankle. Maybe writing another little message with these toes, maybe your name. Something you never want anyone to know. Can't be too much though. Got a lot of little muscles in your ankle that get tired really fast. And in these times of frozen sidewalks and slippery surfaces, we need to have strong, stable ankles. Alrighty, we'll go ahead and lower that left leg all the way down. Finding your final relaxation pose. Whether you're all the way flat on the floor or knees bent, finding whatever feels right to you and your body today. Taking a few deep breaths. Long exhales help relax the nervous system. And each exhale allows you to get a little softer into your mat. Letting the feet be soft. The legs are relaxed. The knees are soft. Feeling the heaviness of the hips and the pelvis, weighing your body down towards the floor, down into the floor. The rib cage is soft, stretching out towards the sides. Feeling the shoulder blades flat against the floor. The chest is open. The arms are heavy, the hands relaxed. The jaw is soft and the face is smooth. Just breathing regularly here for a few moments, not dwelling for too long on any thought that might arise. Beginning to breathe deeply. Taking little movements with the fingers and the toes. Rolling out wrists and ankles. And when you're ready, bending both knees and rolling over to lay on one side.
And we'll gently press on up into a seated position. Crossing those ankles and sitting up nice and tall. And we'll bring the hands together at the heart. And we'll close with our 3 deep breaths. Taking a big deep breath in for the world. Exhaling, hands come into the heart. Big deep breath in for our community. Exhaling, hands coming into the heart. A big deep breath in for ourselves. Hands come back to heart center. Thank you for spending the time to do yoga for yourself today. Thank you for practicing with me here at the library. Maybe we'll be in person someday. If not, join me here again next time. Thank you so much. Namaste.